First of all, breathe. I'm here, listening to you.
Have you ever stared at your phone, just waiting for a notification that never came? A simple message, did you arrive safely? I'm here. I remembered you. But time passed, the screen remained silent, and with it, you also fell silent inside. And breathe. Because sometimes what hurts isn't what was said, it's what never was. It is the absence of a gesture, the echo of a care that never arrived. It's that quiet weight that no one sees, but that weighs as if you were carrying the whole world on. Your shoulders? It wasn't a grand request, it was just a reminder that you matter. But when even that doesn't happen, the feeling is that you've disappeared into the world and no one noticed, as if your presence were dispensable, forgettable, too light to be missed, and then you try not to care. Pretend you didn't expect it, get distracted, change the subject, pretend it didn't hurt, but it hurt, because even without a promise, you missed it, and missing what never came is also longing. It's also pain, it's also real. Stay here, because maybe this absence needs to be heard, and your silence finally respected. And it's at this point that everything starts to get tight inside, because it's not just about the cell phone on the table or the automatic gesture to unlock the screen. It's about the almost childish hope of seeing someone's name there, about that repeated urge to refresh notifications, as if suddenly something might change, as if the simple touch of the screen were capable of erasing the absence that sets in when no one remembers you. You tell yourself that everything is fine, that it's not important, that it doesn't make a difference. But he keeps looking, even without wanting to. Keep waiting, even without admitting it. And when the notification doesn't come, the silence begins to grow. First as a subtle nuisance, then as a constant presence, until it becomes that inner voice that repeats, softly, they didn't care about you. It is at this point that the pain ceases to be external. She transforms. It spreads slowly inside the chest, without haste, without noise, but with weight. You try to get through the day, complete tasks, maintain your posture, even smile. But a part of you is there, frozen in the absence of that message that never arrived. And even if it's just a gesture, it goes through you. Because it wasn't about the text itself, it was about what it represented. It was about care. It was about remembrance. It was about importance. And when that's missing, you start to question yourself. Do you really matter? Does anyone think of you fondly when the day is over? Does your name echo in someone's heart, like theirs echoes in yours? This doubt becomes a shadow, even when the day is beautiful, even when there are people around, even when everything seems normal. You can be surrounded by people, but you still feel invisible. Because what hurts is not just being alone. It is not to be remembered. It is not to be wanted. It's realizing that sometimes your place in someone else's life is smaller than you imagined. And this doesn't need major events to hurt. Sometimes silence is enough. The absence of 3 words is enough. All it takes is a, "Hey, how are you?" The absence takes shape. Start changing your perception of yourself. It starts to make you doubt your worth. You find yourself wondering if maybe you waited too long, if you cared too much, if you felt too much. And then, as a defense, you decide you're not going to wait any longer. It will no longer create expectations. It won't open anymore. But inside, it still waits. He still wishes that, for a moment, someone would remember. May someone send the message you never asked for out loud, but screamed inside. I'm here. Are you okay? I missed you. And when no one gives the orders, you suppress the urge to give the orders yourself. But he doesn't send it, because he's afraid of the answer, or worse, he is afraid that the silence will continue. Then he withdraws. Be quiet. It closes slowly, as if realizing it is alone once more. But this time, it hurt more, because now you knew exactly what to expect, and it didn't come. and that has a weight that no one sees. It is an absence that leaves no visible marks, but that affects everything. The way you start responding to people, the way you listen to others, the way you start to protect yourself from what seems small, but has hurt you before, because you learned that even what is too simple can hurt too much. Even the absence of a message can open a hole inside someone who just wanted to be remembered. And maybe until now, no one has asked you what that message meant to you. No one cared to know what was left there in the void of that notification that never appeared. But now, here, this absence has a name. This pain gains space, and your feelings are finally heard. Stay a little longer. There's something your heart needs to hear, because talking about it matters. Because what is not said also deserves to be felt, welcomed, recognized. There are many people waiting in silence for something that never arrived, and this video is a shelter for that silence. Like this video now, so more people can find that pause in the void. And if this voice reached you in any way, subscribe to the channel. There are more messages coming in, the kind that don't go away, the kind that embrace. And I know, maybe at some point you've judged yourself for this. Maybe you thought you were overreacting, that you were expecting too much, that you were being too sensitive for feeling so much about something so small. But let me tell you with all the care you deserve, it's not drama. It's a felt absence. It is the empty space of something you did not receive, but that your heart was waiting for in silence. It's that notification that didn't appear, and that carried more meaning than anyone could imagine. It's not just a message. That's what she represented. It's the gesture of someone telling you, even without many words, you are not alone. It's the light comfort of knowing that there is someone who cares about you, without you having to ask. And when that doesn't happen, a part of us withdraws. Because the pain of missing something that never came is one of the most silent there is. It's a pain that is not easily explained. Because how can you explain that what hurt you was the absence of something? How to give shape to what was not said, to what did not happen, to what remained only in the imagination of a care that never came? But the truth is that it hurts too. It hurts in a quiet way. It hurts because it hits the most intimate part of those who just wanted to be from someone who didn't expect much. He just hoped not to be forgotten. And no matter how much you try to convince yourself that it doesn't matter, that it's just a detail, that you're fine, there is a part of you that still desires, who still dreams of a simple, almost banal but so necessary gesture. A short message, a spontaneous memory, someone who says, "You came to my mind and I wanted to know how you are." It is the desire to be remembered. It is the legitimate longing for connection. It's the heart saying, "See me," even if it's just for a second. This need is not weakness. It's part of what makes us human. We were not born to live only on absences, born to be touched, remembered, welcomed. And when that is missing, no matter how small it may seem, the impact is real. You may have spent the whole day on the move. You may have completed all the tasks. You may have been among people. You may have laughed. But if deep down in your chest there was a space waiting for something that never arrived, that deserves to be recognized, because this space, which many ignore, is where loneliness sets in. A different kind of loneliness. Not that of being physically alone, but that of not being remembered. The realization that no one noticed your absence. To understand that, for some, your presence is optional. And it hurts, in a way you can't always explain, in a way you learn to keep quiet. Because the world taught you that this kind of pain is not valid. But it is. It's as valid as any other. It doesn't matter if the message was just an emoji, or a hi, or a "I thought of you." What matters is what she carried: presence, affection, bond. And when that doesn't come, it's not just about the cell phone being silent. It's about the echo it generates within you, about the questions that start to appear without you realizing it. Am I important to anyone? Does anyone think of me without me having to remember that I exist? These questions hurt more than any answers because they don't have an immediate answer. They hover, weighing, stirring up old memories of other absences, from other messages that also didn't come, of other times when you were also not remembered, and then, without realizing it, you start to withdraw. Don't wait any longer, not to be demonstrated anymore, protecting yourself from pain, but also from hope. And that takes you away from yourself, because what you felt starts to feel wrong, but it isn't. You just wanted to be seen, remembered, recognized, and that is legitimate. So let me give you this assurance now. What you felt was real. What you expected was fair. And your pain, even without form, even without sound, deserves respect. You are not exaggerated for missing a message. You are human for that. Stay here. There is still more that your silence needs to hear. And now that all of this has come to light, now that you've recognized yourself in this silence that no one sees, in this emptiness left by a notification that never arrived, I want to invite you to breathe, slowly, with tenderness, like someone who, for the first time in a long time, looks inside with less guilt and more affection. Because despite the pain, despite the absence, despite the lack, that hurts. You are still here. And that's already a lot. You are greater than the absence that marked you. You are more whole than the piece that was left waiting for someone. And even if the care you so desired didn't come from outside, it can still be born within. Yes, it is possible. Cultivate an affection that starts with you, a kinder, less demanding look, a presence that doesn't depend on answers, but that builds roots in who you are. You don't need a message to validate your existence. You don't need to be remembered by someone to prove your worth. What you feel, what you deliver, who you are. All of this already carries a deep meaning. Even when the world doesn't realize it, there's still time to go back inside, to welcome that part of you that feels forgotten, to tell her, I'm here, even if no one else says it. Even if no notification arrives, even if the other person doesn't remember, you remember, you feel it. You can welcome yourself and know it's not lonely. This is freedom. The freedom of not expecting so much from others to feel worthy of love. The freedom to be your own care, your own beginning. Maybe now you feel tired of waiting, and that's okay. Waiting is really tiring. But what if, instead of continuing to wait outside, you opened up a space inside, a space to pause, a breathing space, a space where there is no urgency, no tests, no fears, just you, with you. Remember that message that never came? Maybe she had no words, but it can be replaced by something even stronger, the decision not to give up. From now on, every time you miss being remembered, try to remember yourself. Try stopping for a few seconds and saying to yourself, I will no longer ignore myself. And it doesn't have to be a scream. It could be a whisper. It might be a longer look in the mirror, a coffee taken with more presence, a choice made with the heart, a firmly said no, a yes said with truth. And when you start listening to yourself, something changes. That pain, that was once just an absence, begins to give way to a new presence, to yours, the most important of all. And then, little by little, you realize it's not that the absence stopped hurting, but now it no longer defines who you are. It still passes through you, but it no longer consumes you completely, because inside there is someone taking care. Is anyone remembering? There is someone who decided to stay. That someone is you. And look, that doesn't mean you won't want to be remembered anymore. Of course it will. It's natural. But now you understand that even when that doesn't happen, you can still keep going. You can keep feeling, keep living, continue to exist with dignity, with affection, with truth. You don't depend on anyone to validate yourself. And even if loneliness sometimes gets the better of me, it is no longer a sentence. She's just a reminder that the other can forget, but you don't have to forget about yourself. And if today, precisely today, no message arrived, still you made it this far, and that's enough to say you matter, even without external words, even without answers, even without applause or feedback. You are the type of person who feels deeply, who waits with all your heart, who surrenders even in silence. And for that very reason, you carry a rare sensitivity, a beauty that the world doesn't always know how, but that exists, and that deserves to continue. So stay a little longer. There's still one last hug waiting for you. And now that you've come this far, sit inside. Let the body find rest. Let your heart hear this pause. You have done so much. I felt so much. And yet, he remained silent. Yet he waited tenderly for something that might never come. This says a lot about the beauty you carry, this ability to wait with your chest, to love with presence even in absence. What you feel is not an exaggeration. It's delicacy. It's the depth of someone who still believes in the importance of being remembered. Even with the world moving too fast, even when everything seems urgent, you just wanted a simple gesture. And that's okay. There are people who will hear your weight and see themselves in it. There are people who have never had the courage to say that it hurt. And perhaps reading your comment, they will realize that they can feel it. So right here, I waited too, not to expose your pain, but to embrace it, to give a name to the silence that was kept too long, to transform your absence into presence in the life of someone who feels the same way. Come back here whenever you feel the need. This space is yours. That voice understands you. This video stays even when the messages don't arrive. And to not walk alone, subscribe to the channel. So every time absence seems too much, a new notification can remind you, you have not been forgotten here. You are welcome. Always.